Everything in excess is a problem. People are realizing that when it comes to binge drinking, binge eating, partying, anything of excess will have a detrimental effect, which is why that beautiful phrase, everything in moderation, comes out.
Sharmilee Kapur is the founder director of the award winning Atmantan Wellness Centre. She's a certified pranic healer and author of Words That Bring You Home, a visionary in holistic wellness who blends ancient healing wisdom with modern science to transform lives.
Can you tell us, in today's world of chaos and screens and fast paced lives, what does truly yoga do for us beyond the mat?
Yoga can automatically slow us down and make us mindful. You have to focus on your breath work, and it is doing miracles for you physically and mentally. It actually changes your skin structure. And it is so scientifically magical.
So, do you see food as medicine?
Food has this amazing ability to heal us. The gut is responsible for your health in such a big way. As humans, we are 30 trillion human cells, but we are 38 trillion bacteria. So we are more bacteria than we are human. Now, where does this bacteria live? Most of it lives in your gut. So the gut is extremely important. And whenever the gut is important, the food becomes important. Because your food is deciding the health of that gut.
Make sure the next generation remembers
Yes,
and understands where you come from, what local food is to you, and why your body needs it. So, you have a beautiful book that you've written, Words That Bring You Home. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
You know, what's special in this book for me is it has space. It has a lot of space after every lesson for parents to write down their own thoughts and their own lessons.
What's one belief about wellness you hope the next generation never inherits?
That wellness is a luxury. Wellness is not a luxury, wellness is a necessity. Wellness should be available to anybody. But here comes the paradox, Ashna.
So, Sharmilee, do you remember the moment you thought the world needs a place like Atmantan?
Wow. So it takes me back to my teenage years, and there weren't phones. So I had a lot of time to look up from my book and stare out of the window. And this was also a time where I was looking for a lot of answers. I was somebody who had the time to get fit. I had the time to analyze and really work on myself. But I always felt that I wasn't getting all the help in one place. That was the moment. I was like, there needs to be a place where somebody can walk in, be applauded for working on their health, and get all the answers they needed for themselves.
Do you think modern luxury is shifting from more to mindful?
Absolutely. Because more is never good. You've heard of more money, more problems, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if money can create more problems. Everything in excess is a problem. People are realizing that when it comes to binge drinking, binge eating, partying, anything of excess will have a detrimental effect. So yes, being in excess is not a good thing, which is why that beautiful phrase, everything in moderation, comes out. And I like how you say mindful, because that's definitely a more evolved version. So I think, Ashna, we should go from saying that you should go from more to mindful, and which is way better than moderation. It's actually how life is supposed to be led the best possible way.
Balance.
Absolutely. Soaking in the reality, even if you're having a cup of coffee, you can't have 4 cups anymore. Yeah. So you might as well enjoy that 1 cup and really relish it and mindful is overused. So sometimes people think of it as a slow pace, but it's not. It's about being truly sufficient and secure and living life at your pace and savoring every moment. So yes.
I agree, because anyways happiness is in the little moments, and if we savor all of them, then you're leading a mindful and happy life.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about Atmantan, how it started, what it entails, and what really is the motto of the place.
Right. So Atmantan started in my mind. I didn't realize at that time what I was doing was actively manifesting it. And, I met Nikhil. And luckily for me, he's huge into fitness. So I had the perfect partner in crime, to make this. And, the world needed Atmantan, because Atmantan is a place that welcomes people who want to work on their health. It actually celebrates them, it applauds them, and it empowers them. So when people come to Atmantan, they are coming to become better versions of themselves. And there is no judgment. Nobody will tell you that, hey, why did you get here? People will only say at Atmantan that fantastic that you've come here. which means that's how much you value yourself. It's a place where people come, it could be something as simple as de-stressing and detoxing, and it could be something as, life-changing as reversing diabetes, getting your sleep in order, undoing your autoimmune. So there's so much, right from gut health, but everything eventually goes down to the principles of integrated medicine. We work with Ayurveda, naturopathy, and a lot of modern sciences, ancient Chinese philosophy, yoga, you name it. But everything is there in that one place for a person to, access and get well. So that's Atmantan in a nutshell.
So, a lot of people I feel like nowadays have this misconception that when you think of a wellness center, either it's a weight loss center slash it's a place used for rehabilitation. I feel like generally that's the myth people live in, that
Right.
if someone says, I was at this center for 5 to 7 days or gone for a week, I left my family behind, they're like, oh, did you go for detox? Means weight loss?
Yeah.
Or did you go to give up an addiction and you're not talking about it?
Right.
Do you think that happens as well?
So so what you said is absolutely correct. And then there's the other end also, where people think of wellness as just a spa holiday.
Yeah.
So we get, all of that. So the thing is that weight loss is yes, if you need it. So basically, weight is your body screaming for help. Something is not okay, which is why it manifests into a weight problem. So what happens at wellness centers, we call weight loss a side effect. So at Atmantan, we deal with the issue. We don't just treat the symptom. We actually work on the pathway, where your disease is coming from. And for example, you said weight loss. I have this very prominent guest who told me, hey, Sharmilee, I want to come here and I want to lose weight. And turns out we actually got rid of a UTI. And obviously, the weight loss was, like I said, a pleasant side effect. So the thing is, it also depends on your approach. But what people see is the weight loss, which is why people say, hey, you've come back from wellness center and you look fantastic. So it is a tangible sort of reward that you take back.
Yeah.
But what's happening inside is magnificent. You're setting your gut right, you're getting your sleep in order, you get a hormonal balance done, which is again a huge problem, with people with perimenopausal and menopausal. Of course, your symptom is you start gaining weight. Your symptom is you stop sleeping enough. What's going on? Of course, there's a hormonal imbalance. And how do you set it right? You don't try and go on intermittent fasting, which may even create a
Further
bigger
damage.
havoc. Yeah. So you need to figure it out. We have a lot of diagnostics we run. So yes, if that's a misconception, I hope I can clear some of it. It's what you get to show. Like, your weight loss is like your badge. It's like your medal that you bring back. And de-addiction, again, you can help those who want to help themselves.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people come to Atmantan saying, I'd want to get off. Like I've been having a lot. I was just telling somebody, last 1 month has been high pace for me. I've had a lot of drinking and I want to really cut back and come back to a normal life. So again, they would come to a wellness center because obviously we don't have drinking, we don't have smoking. And it becomes a place where they are supported and they do that. For example, we don't give our guests coffee, but we have coffee.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're going to pass out, but the thing is we will not give it to you first thing in the morning because it's extremely detrimental to your gut health. So the thing is that there are ways to do this. So, their cigarettes will be there with the doctors and they know that, okay, like something happens, the cigarette is like close by. But the thing is, it's a journey they take themselves and there's like a team of 400 supporting them. So that's how they actually work on the de-addiction part when they come to a wellness center. It's not like cold turkey, or it's not just, hey, there's a lot of blah, blah happening, and there are like all these infusions given in, and you're not going to want it. But it's a journey you decide to take on your own when you go to a wellness center.
There are a lot of people, I would say most of us struggle in some areas of life. So I may be struggling with weight, I may be struggling with my eating, I may be struggling with sleeping, and I'm giving me as example here, but
Sure.
I'm saying anybody.
Sure.
So everyone struggles in different ways. And what I also see is a trend is they would go to the wellness center as a temporary fix to feel good about themselves. So
Right.
like you gave an example of drinking. So let's say somebody's a binge drinker. They would go to a wellness center, spend a week, 10 days, come back saying, I didn't drink and I can do do it. See, I'm not really into drinking. It's not really an addiction. It's almost like denial. So they go there and it's to prove to themselves that I'm not addicted to a substance. I'm not addicted to a habit. I'm not addicted to a thought process, because you can be addicted to anything.
Of course.
And they would go there, then come back and exactly be where they were.
True.
Back to square one. And I've seen this trend in most people when they use wellness center as a spa holiday, like you mentioned, because they don't see it as changing themselves or change of lifestyle. It's more like, I'll go do this, I'll prove to the world I can live without these addictions or these bad habits or these lifestyles,
Right.
and then I can come back and again do what I want, because now my life demands it.
Right, right.
So when you see people slipping in and out and
Right.
coming back to you, do you
Right.
approach that differently?
Right. So, first of all, what you said is fantastic, because I call it falling off the wagon. And I personally fall off the wagon all the time. I will sleep well for like 2 weeks, and then I'll have one late night, and then it's back. So, what we do at Atmantan is exactly address this. We help people build healthier habits. What happens is, when you habituate yourself at Atmantan, like you said, for 7 to 10 days, or at any wellness center, you won't believe it, Ashna. When you come back, you will never be the person you were when you first started. You may fall off the wagon, but you'll fall off differently. Because, and when you said you tell the world you did it, it's actually you tell yourself, and you saw your body rise to the occasion. You saw what your body was capable of. See, willpower, you know how, there's this thing I was reading that willpower, like some people have more willpower, is a myth. Willpower is very transitory. Usually people have higher willpower in the beginning of the day, and the willpower wanes in the night, but it's the same person.
Yeah.
So the thing is that in these 7 to 10 days, not only did they stay away from something that they thought they may be habituated to, or addicted to, they also saw how they felt in those 10 days,
Correct.
which is fantastic. They slept better, and that sort of creates a memory imprint. They may go back, they may slip, but they will never slip as bad as they did. And also now, they have something called hope. The only thing we got out of Pandora's box, and they know that they can do this. So it's never a lost cause. And the habits that you build, I'll give you an example. We have people coming to us, right? They want to, say, improve their cholesterol readings. I'm talking about readings of 400. Your normal being, close to 200.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is that will not happen over 10 days, but they see a shift. They see drop 50 units in 20 days. And they're like, oh my God. Just 20 days shifted my unit by 50. I can do this. They go back. They obviously cannot follow the diet, the sleep, the therapies, the workouts. They can't follow it to a T. But what happens is, even if they go back and they're 30% better than what they came in.
You've achieved it.
And the beauty is, Ashna, when they come back to us 6 months earlier, they don't even look at the person they were then when they came in. Now they look at the person who left Atmantan.
Yeah.
Or a wellness center.
You basically show them the light, you show them the path, and then it's up to them how far along they can pull themselves to. And even if they come back, it's like from that place of hope.
They've seen it. More than we showing it, if they don't want it, if you're not receptive, you will not receive.
Yeah.
We always say that. The master of pranic healing said that, and I'm a pranic healer. He says, if you're not receptive, you will not receive. The thing is, you've changed. Whether you think you've not changed, but you've changed. You've seen it. Like you said, you've seen the light.
Yeah.
And you know this is what I'm capable of. And you come back, and out of that 50 points, say you gained another 20. But in a net score, you're still 30 down.
Yeah.
And this time, you're more ambitious. You're like, okay, now let me see if I can bring it down 80 points. So it changes, it rewires your brain. So it's never a waste. Not because I'm doing this. It's never a waste. Going to a wellness center, taking a wellness retreat will always leave a beautiful imprint. It's, how they say, if you had a hugely negative experience and then you have a hugely positive experience, depending on how you are as a person, the positive experience will
Outshine
the negative.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
That wellness will
Yeah.
make you more positive, but it's never a waste.
Yeah, because like the basic they say, no matter how much you study and what you study, it'll never go to waste. At some point in your life, it'll come back to you. So it's like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
because-
it's exactly like that. So
Yeah.
well said. I'm going to use that next time I'm talking to somebody.
Yeah, because education
Yes,
never goes to
yes,
waste. So this
absolutely.
is educating yourself about your
Absolutely.
body, your habits, and seeing the light.
100%. Exactly what you said.
So great. Tell me, what has been the hardest emotional challenge you faced as a wellness entrepreneur?
Wow. Okay, so What happened is that, when we opened, we were starry-eyed. We knew we had a brilliant product, we had a brilliant team, and we had a huge team of experts. And every guest who would come in would have these amazing life-changing experiences. While going, they would bless us, they would bless the team. Their life, like just looking at somebody who wasn't able to walk straight, leaving Atmantan, walking straight, playing golf the next day. I mean, these, I'm just talking to mention a few. So, Nikhil and I used to be like, hey, listen, this word is going to spread. I mean, look at this magical story. Look at us. We are getting goosebumps. But, the word of mouth in our case really took a long time, Ashna. We thought, okay, we've started 6 months in, 8 months in, people will hear about us, they will start coming in. And, we believe in no fluff. We were young entrepreneurs. We wanted to give people, everything worth their money and their time. We wanted to make their time at Atmantan count for something. So we are very, very result oriented. But, the word of mouth didn't catch on till 2 years. So those 2 years were tough, keeping such a huge team, having these experts not leave you, telling them, listen. And I remember, I used to meet these lovely people who stay close to us, who had been to Atmantan in year one. And they used to be like, how's business going? And we used to be like, not great. And they used to be like, listen, 5 years. There'll be a line outside Atmantan. Just wait. And I used to look at Nikhil like saying, dude, 5 years?
What if we don't survive?
So it was tough. But, we are on better times now and people understand the value of wellness.
Also, as time is shifting, we're in 2025, the word wellness has taken a huge turn, which is obviously going to work in your favor. People are understanding what taking care of yourselves mean. People are understanding that if you slip, you can come back.
Right.
There was a time when it was like if people fell off the wagon, you're like useless, hopeless. Those words were given to that family member, that friend.
True.
That person themselves didn't have hope for themselves because you start associating yourself with the words people are associating with you.
Very true.
So then that becomes your voice, and everybody's telling you useless, hopeless, drunkard, fatso, whatever the words were.
Yeah.
And that becomes your inner language. True. And then you think there's no hope. Why change? Why bother?
Exactly.
But now, because the world is becoming more aware, wellness is a very huge thing that people want to get into.
And
People
mental
want,
health, what you're talking about. Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's become a big
so
word.
it's all intertwined.
Sure.
It's all intertwined. You get to addiction, you get to weight gain, you get to any problem. It's deep rooted somewhere mentally.
Of course.
That is my belief.
Of course.
It's always coming from some scars, some suppression, somewhere the trauma in your mind converted to physical trauma, somewhere.
Right.
I mean, 99%. There can be cases where there's an
That's
autoimmune and there's
genetic.
genetic, whatever it could
Yeah,
be.
sure.
There could be reasons. I can't make a scientific claim on it.
No, but you're right. Environmental
I
factors are working on
I
this.
feel like mental factors are a huge reason why we function a certain way, and then it hampers our functionality or it enhances our functionality. So it really depends how you feel and how you think.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about your personal journey. How did you feel getting into wellness has changed you as a person, has changed your core values and beliefs?
Wow. Okay, so I've changed a lot actually, Ashna. So the thing is, for me, I always wanted wellness, but I wanted wellness in the doses I wanted. I didn't want somebody telling me to, for example, a small thing. I used to have milk. And I'm talking about classic milk, right? Because, I was born in the 80s, late 70s, 80s. Yeah. Milk was a comfort food. And every time I met somebody who said, it's terrible for your gut, I didn't want to hear it. Yeah. But, obviously, this was a fact. So, somewhere Atmantan has come out of my need for wellness. I also was looking for answers. So it's responsible for who I am today. Today I don't have milk. I've suffered, by the way, my share of autoimmune condition. I've had also a Hashimoto, thyroid. So, there has been a learning curve. It's not just come, which is how humans learn, right?
Yes.
When they suffer, they learn. So for me, the big healing which has come with Atmantan is self-prioritizing myself. Because, I always believed I was very focused on myself, but we may focus on things we like. We may not focus on things we need.
Yeah.
So Atmantan has helped me realize that, no, I need to make sure I take that time out once a week to, hang out with my friends. I need to make sure I meditate every day, not because I feel like, because I must, and things like that. I have to look at my food, and whether I like it or not, whether I'm a vegetarian. So it's not always pleasant for me when I'm traveling. But, self wellness is okay, I will walk that extra kilometer and find a great place to eat because that's what I deserve. So, in that sense, Atmantan, and by the way, I say this on the page that Atmantan is a selfish holiday. It's about putting yourself first. And Atmantan has helped me put myself first. That's my huge healing.
So, in your experience, what is the most underrated form of healing that you feel actually works wonders?
So, Ashna, the most underrated form of healing is sleep. People don't realize how magical it is, and I am one of those people who have very slowly and steadily come to accept that sleep is what is going to anti-age me, and sleep is what is going to keep me away from a lot of age-related conditions. Sleep is seriously fantastic. If you ever get a chance, I'm quoting out of Matthew Walker. He says, sleep is not a luxury; it's a necessity. And a lot of us, don't. We take it for granted. In fact, he says something brilliant, which again I must mention. He says, as a species, we've evolved on so many aspects, but we've not evolved past sleep. All animal kingdom needs to sleep, so that should tell people how important sleep is. And
That's true.
even in considering a wellness journey, sleep is when your body is normalizing, it's when it's healing, even mentally.
Yeah.
We have these Swamijis we talk to, and from Chinmaya Mission, and they always will say, they'll be like, when your brain is overloaded, you're stressed, the best thing you can do is sleep, and you will feel fantastic after. And look at that.
It's like the concept of switching off, right? So also I feel like that comes in because there are people who have a lot of emotional control over themselves, so they can actually switch off from situations, life, work, finances, relationships. Some people can switch off,
Okay.
even if they're awake. But then there's some people who don't know how to switch off. So even there, I feel like sleep is so essential because that is a body's form of switching off.
Yeah.
Your brain is not working and processing problems
Right.
actively or
Right.
consciously, maybe
Right.
subconsciously.
Right.
But you're not actually processing and thinking about, today I had an argument with my mother. What does my mother feel?
Totally.
You switched off from everything.
Totally.
Today my check didn't come in, or I was supposed to pay these low EMIs. I was not able to pay them.
Totally.
Whatever your stress factors may be, you switch off. So it is so important. If you just see the small thing that if I'm eating, I need to switch off from eating.
Yeah.
If I keep eating continuously for 24
Yeah.
hours, I don't know where I'll
have
reach.
to listen,
Yeah, so
exactly.
you have to switch off. So I feel like in everything in life, you have to switch off. So when you switch off from life, emotionally disconnect, most people are able to not do it on a conscious level.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
that, I think sleep becomes so important.
Absolutely.
So people just stop seeing sleep as sleep. It's also disconnecting.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's important to disconnect to rewire.
Yeah.
What I may be feeling right now, after I disconnect, I may realize it was very small.
Exactly.
It was very frivolous. It was not required. The stress is not required. I did not need to eat that much. I didn't need to watch this.
Right.
So I feel like it's a reset.
Right.
And people don't see sleep as reset. You
Right.
very rightly said, it is not a luxury.
Yeah.
It is an essential part of life.
Right.
And there are so many studies that come out and you see these articles, 6 hours is enough, 5 hours is enough. If you're a high functioning individual, 5 hours will give you enough
Right.
rest and you can move on.
Right.
But I don't think that's actually true.
Oh, no. Absolutely. I'm here to tell you that is not true. I mean, it's, again, like I said, I'm quoting from him, but the fact is that we all need to average in 8 hours. And to average in 8 hours, it means there are days you have to sleep for 9 hours.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know you're a working woman like me,
Yeah.
and 9 hours is not even something we see on our alarm clocks, right?
Yeah.
We stop. We're like, okay, 7, fine, just let's put the alarm.
That's
but
true.
the thing is that I mean, you have to plan to sleep the same way you plan your meal, the same way you plan your workout. I mean, that's what I've been doing. That's been like so big for me in my 40s, where I'm like, okay, it's 6 o'clock, I have to start. I actually have an alarm on my phone which goes off at 10 o'clock, which tells me that I need to prep for bedtime.
Even I have one. Time to wind down. Yeah.
So see, I mean, whatever works for whoever. So
Yeah.
the thing is, like you said, sleep, you've spoken about the mental aspect, which is so huge. The physical aspect also is intertwined, right, to the
Yeah.
mental aspect. The inflammation, the fact that, when you said your body is, when everything goes wrong inside, again, when we're talking about sleep, we're not talking about 24 hours of sleeping, right?
Yeah.
There's something wrong. There's lethargy. But we're talking about the kind of people we are today. The youngsters, they have a hustle culture.
Yeah.
They want to do everything in a
Everything.
day. They want to do it even when it hits midnight, and they're like, hey, we have another 5 hours. But they need to seriously understand that this will catch up with them. they can do it for a night or two. In fact, now, there is all this new study on adolescents, Ashna, where they say that, it's so funny that one of my pediatric friends was telling me this. She says, it's so funny that exams are in the morning, school is in the morning, and the kids generally are people who have to stay awake in the night and study. So they are not conducive to the child's sleep. She said the best thing would be if school would start at 12 noon, because a child is going to study in the night, because that's how teenagers are. They're so wired up that they are most active in the evening, in the night hours, and then they get their most productive, and then they have to get up in the morning. So
Yeah.
they are not getting sleep, which is why their minds are not creating those cognitive memories. They're not creating that focus which they need for the exam next day. So it hit me so hard when she told me that. I've been repeating to my son every single day for his exams. I'm like, you need to sleep. He's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, you need to sleep so that you remember what you've studied. So, we have to use this conscious approach. And it is seriously underrated. Because if we as parents start doing it and we start telling our children, hopefully,
Yeah,
Ashna,
hopefully.
20 or 30% of that will stay with them, when we're not with them.
I never thought about that, now that you mention, I went to a boarding school and we never stayed up late and studied because
wow.
we had that culture that 9 o'clock lights off, and we never fought it. And our thing was, if the exam is in the morning and let's say the exam's at 9, instead of waking up at 7, we wake up at 6.
Right.
So you slept earlier.
Right.
In fact, like after 8 o'clock, you'd be like, I'm crashing, I have to wake up at 6 in the morning. I never understood at the time the importance of it, or never,
Right.
believe me, I had no idea about any of this.
That's probably
But-
why you look like that then.
No,
you had a
mean-
great boarding life, which you were sleeping on time. Fantastic.
No, I'm just saying that at that time the culture was so normal to me, and I remember, coming back in the summer, and then you hang with your cousins who are probably not in boarding and they're
Sure.
day boarding and they're going to local schools, and they're like, dude, I stay up like all night, and then we chat with our friends. I'm like, really? We have none of that.
Yeah.
We read till 8, 9, we go to bed, we wake up in the morning. And looking back, wow, fantastic. I had no idea that I got the good side of it. The
Yeah.
habits. And then those habits last forever.
Yeah.
Like even now, I just struggle to stay awake. I am still a morning person, and I'm grateful for that.
Right.
I'm grateful because then it puts you in that habit of sleep. Like you
Right.
said, sleep is very important.
Right.
So let's move on. Tell me one wellness trend you find overrated and not as helpful as people think.
Yeah, so there's none, Ashna. I think, like you said, the whole world is talking about wellness, and it's much needed because wellness spans everything. I don't think there's any trend which is overrated, because if, like, say, for example, you and me talking about sleep, if somebody decided to just turn in 1 hour early, that's fantastic. Yes, I mean, the only thing I will say is there are trends which are not meant for you. People need to figure that out. So while I don't think there's anything which is a trend in wellness is a good thing, because we need to talk more and more about it. And you never know what the inspiration point for somebody is.
Correct.
So it has to be spoken about. It has to be everywhere around us. And if it's trends, so be it. But all I would say is, do not blindly follow a trend. Try it. If it's not meant for you, talk to an expert. Because, for example, I have an autoimmune condition, and intermittent fasting is not great for people with autoimmune. And this is something which so many people are not aware of. They're doing this, the heart rate is increasing, and they're still like, no, listen, this has worked for millions. It better work for me. So that's not okay, because you're deteriorating instead of improving. So talk to experts, figure out what your condition is, analyze, and there's a lot of help out there.
Yeah.
We're not talking about 40 years ago where, talking to a doctor about not being able to sleep was like, hey, listen, is there something wrong with you? Are people fighting in your house that you can't sleep? So, the times have changed, and that's all I would say. So trends are all great. Just figure out what's meant for you.
Yeah, because there was a very popular trend. I mean, it's slightly dying out, but there was a very popular trend, I would say 10 years ago, where they said you must be a non-vegetarian to look a certain way, because you have to consume that much meat and that much protein to look healthy, to have muscle weight,
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I remember, I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian all my life. So I used to actually wonder, like, I'll be never one of those people who'll be fit. And when I'm 40 or
Absolutely.
45, I won't be able to play sports the way, because it was advertised in such a way.
Right.
The trend was so big
Right.
that if you want to be a sports person, a bodybuilder, a wellness coach physically, you have to consume that much
Right.
protein. But then, like you said, it's very important to study. It's very important to look into it. whether it's for you.
Yeah.
And what is the solution around it? Because the
Right.
solution around everything. So let's say you said intermittent fasting doesn't work for you. There are so many ways of not doing intermittent fasting but balancing your meals.
Absolutely.
But then people think that's the trend, that's the label, follow it blindly.
Right.
So you're right, I would agree, trends are great, but then everyone needs to study it for themselves
Yes.
and not be blind about it. Because like you said,
Absolutely.
education is everything. Educate yourself about all the trends.
And information is out there. In fact, what you're talking about, like ketogenics, for example, was putting so much pressure on people's liver. And, we had so many guests coming in and saying, listen, this is what I do. But it's not great. So we would say, listen, if you're doing this, do this for 2 months, 3 months to shock your body. Please don't continue it.
Yeah.
Because there is a reason that, and in fact, we just need, 1 gram of our body weight of protein. So, the vegetarians get it plenty. And all this, and I think Virat Kohli, you have such fabulous spokespeople now talking about this, that I'm a vegetarian, I'm a great sports person, I don't need this. So, it's also about who made the loudest noise. I think, the people, the meat eaters were talking so much and they were so loud about it. And also, I don't want to say this, but, it was a little bit industry driven.
It was.
So,
Of course, everything is industry driven.
so in that sense, I'm glad that, you didn't, just take it on. But yes, it is, and it will always be like that. But if everybody, like you said, just figures out, takes in that education, takes
Yeah.
the time to see that this is not great for me. And actually, it's great to be unique, right? Why jump on
Trends,
a trend which
blindly.
everybody does?
Yeah.
So let's tell your viewers to be different.
Yeah.
And
So where does somebody start when it comes to mental detox? So one is physical, of course, but I'm sure, and as you've mentioned, Atmantan is a holistic experience, which means it's mental, physical, all around well-being.
Yes.
So how does a person understand that I need this?
Right.
Whether it's physical detox, mental detox, just a shift. How do they decide they need to go?
Okay. It's at any point of time where you feel you're not at your optimal best. That's when you need a wellness break. If you've got, it could be something as simple as going through a relationship breakup. It could be, sometimes people even reward themselves a wellness holiday when they're about to join a new job and they want to reinvent themselves. It could be something as simple as, a terrible health scare. There are so many reasons. There is not even one bad reason to give yourself,
Correct.
the wellness that you deserve. And it can start at home. I'm not talking about checking into a wellness center. It can start with you just throwing out all that, processed food. It can, I remember you telling me, once you decide, you stick to it. So it could just be saying, listen, now I'm not going to have Coke. And go out there and tell your friends, listen, if you see me ordering and if you love me, you better stop me.
Correct.
It can start with anything. But what the beauty is, it's almost like what is at the end of the rainbow. It's that pot of gold. It's the best reward of wellness actually comes after you take it on. Because you start feeling so great.
Correct.
And you start feeling fantastic and you're like, okay, this is what I'm capable of feeling in the morning. This is what I'm capable of feeling all day. And this is how I can live my life. That is the true power of wellness. And, when you're talking about a mental detox, again, it's about creating that time and space that, okay, now I want to empty my head. Like you said, a lot of people are in control and they can do
Yeah.
it. For me, I truly would need a place without any distractions. Atmantan is in 42 acres of nature. We all have nature around us. Nature is your number one healer who doesn't charge you a rupee.
Correct.
Just go and sit next to a plant. Just, sort of absorb that oxygen and just decide, that's it. I'm not going to think of anything. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to think of now. Even this is how many books talk about the power of now, just zone out.
Yeah.
Just allowing yourself to do that is actually the beginning of wellness. Even if a person said, I'm going to sleep better today, for me, that's a beginning of wellness.
Tell us about a story, a success story, or a story that has really resonated with you, where someone has come for a physical change but left with a huge mental shift.
There are so many, Ashna. It's what gets me to work every day. But there was this. I'm going to talk about loss because those specially get to me. I remember there was this one guest we had, a female guest, who was at the mandir, and then she bumped into us, and she didn't realize we would be there, and then she says, I just want to bless you and your team because I've just had a loss, And I never thought I would be roaming around, saying hello to people, and wanting to start a brand new day. And I've just healed myself. I met another lady very recently who's come with a whole family. And, she was, I think, in her late 60s or 70s. And, I told her daughter, I said, how come, you're here? I mean, it's always great asking people. And she said, my mom just lost her husband. I just lost my dad recently. And I went and met. I said, Auntie, how are you feeling? She's saying, Sharmilee, I had lost my confidence. So I was like, what? How can you lose your confidence? And you're talking about like a modern woman. You think of, she says, I did not want to walk. I couldn't climb steps. I don't know what happened. And she's saying, look at me here. I'm happy. I want to give life another shot. Those kind of stories really get to me. Again, I met another lady very recently. And she says, I'm here with my mother and my mother-in-law. And, we live in a joint family, but they both are recovering from loss.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, and that's it. It's a place of healing. You just decide that I want to get well. And, it's just, see, the gut, right? 90 to 95% of the mood hormone is produced in the gut.
Yeah.
If you're going to eat right, you're automatically going to start feeling good. And that is what you should do at home. But the thing is, at home, we have a lot of temptations. You can, like I said, slip off the wagon. You can do this. So the idea is allow yourself that space to say, okay, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to get well. And then I'm going to see how I feel. So in that sense, there are a ton of stories. We've had people who've come on wheelchairs and walked back.
Wow.
There are so many stories, Ashna. I always say that's my biggest gift. It's what keeps me going every single day, is the incredible transformations we see at Atmantan.
Do you think when people come in, they're resistant, or do you think they surrender immediately?
Depends. If most of them are, they surrender because they've chosen to come there. Some of them have been dragged there by their wives or by their parents. It's a little bit resistant, but we don't force. And the idea is no wellness conversation can work like that.
It can't.
You have to talk to them.
Yeah.
You have to educate. That's one of our, things that we believe in. We empower the person. We tell them that, okay, this is what is happening. Would you like to work on it? And it's a step at a time. Okay, why don't you eat this? Tell me how you feel.
Also,
why
you
don't you try
realize
this?
so many people don't even have the awareness.
Yeah.
They don't have the awareness why they're feeling a certain way, where the thoughts are coming from, where their traumas are coming from. They lack awareness. And I almost feel like when I meet people, this is where I feel bad. I'm like, poor guy or poor girl doesn't even know where it's coming from.
Yeah, they don't
and
know
it's all like,
themselves.
oh, I can't help myself. I want that extra drink. I look for drinks. I look for this. I look for that. Could be any sort of addiction,
Right, of
any sort
course.
of bad habit. I don't feel like getting up and going to the gym. I'm not a morning person. I'm cribby till like 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and that's when life comes to me. But it's like you're telling yourself all this, but it's deep rooted.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if you can build awareness, even that's a great starting point.
Absolutely. And you're doing that, right? We're doing that with this podcast. The thing is, you said that, right? People don't have people need to figure out the time to spend with them. Growing up, you're younger than me, but growing up, I hate to sound like those chronic aunties who says, this generation is using too much of phone, because I also use a lot of phone. But the thing is, we honestly had time to just sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
And today, I'm talking about whether it's youngsters or any age, they don't just want to not do anything. They don't just want to sit and do nothing. They're just like, oh, what am I doing now? Oh, what am I doing now? So where are they going to find the time to think and see what you said?
Reflect.
Where is it coming from? What is my trigger? What is my issue which is holding back? They're not going to have it. So, there are pluses. They're more, hopefully they have more information available.
They'll ask ChatGPT.
Exactly. And from what my son tells me, ChatGPT does not guide them incorrectly. So the thing is that it's also, like you said, it's also who you have around you. If these are the kind of people we're meeting, it could also be the circle they are with.
Yeah.
Your immediate circle, whether you like it or not, affects you.
Absolutely.
And if I would see that in a loved one, I would first look around them. Okay, what is this? Is this a work thing? Is this the people they're hanging out with? And try and make changes there. Because while I want to do it myself, and it has to come from the person themselves, right? This is also areas that get missed. In fact, I remember you telling me that a lot of people are not even realizing that they hang around with the wrong people.
Yeah.
And who are keeping them down, who are not letting them sort of rise to their potential. Again, this is wellness.
Yeah.
You are not getting the wellness from your support system that you should.
I wouldn't even say wrong people. I would just say that they're not at the same wavelength. They're
True.
not with the same horizons. They're not with the same aspirations. So what happens is then you start looking at life in that direction.
Yeah, they're wrong
So-
for you. I mean, they're not wrong,
yeah,
but they're not
exactly.
right for
I
you.
would just say they're not in the same place, so the association doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just see it as association. People you're interacting with, people you're hanging out with, people you're working with, whoever it may be, people in your periphery, they have to understand the vision that you have.
Yeah.
Or they should be on a similar path. I won't say should be, but it would be preferable
Right.
because then they can understand what your vision is.
Right.
If a person can only see till Pune, they will say there is no China.
Right.
But when a person can see till China, they'll say, oh my God, there's life beyond China.
Right.
So it just depends on the vision,
Right.
and it's only how far you can see.
Right.
And I think that, like you very rightly said, people you're with, your support system, people around you, change your mental health, change your physical health,
Yes.
unrealizingly.
Yes.
They affect how you as a person and how you are functioning.
Right.
Because then that becomes your way of being also.
Absolutely. And also, like you said, they are seeing your vision and you're seeing theirs. Like today, I always say this: each person has to bring something to my table, and it's also about you being a great fit for them, because you may have this amazing vision and you're set, but if you're not adding to their lives, then it may also be a great way to cut off. In fact, I always, I mean, it sounds almost calculative, but it's also like putting out that message in the universe that I want people who get me, and I want to get people who I can help.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what will resonate. Like, imagine now what we're talking about is a science.
Yeah.
You will send out and you will attract the people at the energies that you're vibrating. And of course, you have to be able to recognize it, which is what you say, that if you're not at my wavelength, then I'm not going to welcome you in.
So, how much ever I know about you, I know you believe in ancient wellness practices. But I feel like today, the way the world is going, everybody wants a fast fix. They don't have the patience for the ancient way of being. How do you find that balance, and how do you explain to people coming to Atmantan, like, no, ancient wisdom is everything?
So actually, Ashna, don't you think everything that we're doing today in a very fast fix manner is actually coming from ancient wisdom? So it's also about, you're right, but it's also about mixing. So in fact, with Atmantan, we're very integrated, and because we understand people want that. For example, with Ayurveda, you have for example, if you're on the Panchkarma, you will have your ghee in the morning, and they will tell you to take a light walk. But considering, how people are, youngsters, they are so like, hey, listen, I'm here, what can I do? So Atmantan is very integrated. We have Bollywood dancing, we have Tai Chi, we have yoga, we have, weight training, we have functional fitness, we have aqua aerobics. So you mention it, it's there. So we are making space for that. And ancient wisdom is never going to go anywhere. It is something that filters through everything. So for example, if I'm on a naturopathic fasting, where I'm not supposed to do a very, excessive workout, I will still do a yoga, but I can do types of yoga. I can
Correct.
still have. So the thing is, the beauty about ancient wisdom is that it fits really well with the modern lifestyle. It's about, like, for example, even when you do yoga, right? The thing is that rather than just doing it in silence, if you join a class where the person is reading out instructions. So for example, when I used to do yoga, I used to always tell my instructor, because I'm also, I think, a little fast paced. I can't go too slow. So I remember telling her that, when I'm doing yoga, why don't you keep telling me about the asanas, about where it's working? So for me, that helped me stay focused on my breath. Then there are people who won't like any noise, they just want a silent yoga session. So it's about adapting that ancient wisdom to modern needs, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for it, because whatever gets you to the end goal is what matters.
Yeah.
Doing a 21-day Ayurveda Panchkarma is life changing, and imagine me telling a youngster to take 21 days out of their lovely social life.
It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. So I'm going to tell them, listen, while you're there, we're going to do this amazing gut cleanse, and don't worry, we're going to do this also, and we're going to do that also. So you have to dress it up.
Yeah.
And there's no harm in that.
It's like sugar coating. You have to.
Right.
To fit with the time.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? And still keep the purity of that ancient wisdom, have those things, have the foods there, have the dosha balancing happening, while you're also catering to the other things. Like I said, let them be in a happiness class, let them have their affirmations, let them write their journaling, let them do all of that, because ultimately it's about fitting this wellness into their current life. So there's no point in us deprivating them to a state where they go back and they say, hey, I'm not able to bring any of this into my car. So it's really about matching it to their lifestyle and have them taking healthier habits back.
So I feel like wellness centers and wellness have also always been associated with luxury. There was a time, I would say pre-COVID,
Right.
where you had to travel to another exotic country with a wellness center. So, or you had to go to a luxury retreat to rewire. But now I think the definition is changing slowly, and I feel it's becoming more available. Like Atmantan's there, and I know quite a few places have come up which are wellness centers, which have a holistic approach
Right.
to life, and
Right.
you can go and reset your life or yourself. But at the bottom of it all, do you think wellness is still luxury, or do you think wellness can actually be by anyone and everyone and anywhere?
Okay. So, actually, wellness should not be luxury. Wellness should be available to each and every person, no matter where. And this whole thing where you said, there's so much more availability in India is because we have the spending power. India, the world realized that, the Indians are important. What they want matters, and they have the money to spend. And this is why, the world was sort of courting Indians. But, we Indians are very smart. So we said, hey, listen, let's build something for the Indians themselves, because why not? Because, if I go anywhere in the world, I will never get Ayurveda the way I'll get it here.
That's true.
I can go, we had a very, very famous person come down to Atmantan who said, I've done, yoga in New York, but it's absolutely not like what you did. We're like, yeah, of course. India is the land of prana. If you do yoga in India, it's always going to be, and I can put my money on it, it's going to be 100 times better than anywhere in the world. Because we are the land where these energies are coming in. All these unseen things are coming in when you do yoga. So the thing is that when you talk about luxury in wellness, it depends on what luxury means. You can have these luxury can mean high tech, where you have these fancy diagnostics and fancy equipment. Luxury can also mean, at least what it means with the Atmantan way, is being comfortable enough to focus on yourself. So that is what we mean when we say we are into luxury wellness. But wellness should not be a luxury. Wellness should be available to anybody. But here comes the paradox, Ashna. Till we are not well off or comfortable, we will not think about our wellness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the thing is, that's why wellness becomes a luxury. If I am comfortable in my life, if I'm comfortable in my space, and I have all my basics taken care of, that's when I'll sit and think, okay, what else do I need? And that's when I'll address it. Or when there's a health scare. If there's a health scare, no matter what state of life I'm in or whatever age of life I'm in, I will run for wellness. So that is why I think there is a paradox there.
I think it's also conditioning, right? The conditioning until our generation is that you have to have a lot of money to spend in these centers. These centers are meant for people with money. These centers are meant as a luxury break. These centers are holidays.
Yeah.
So that is the mentality or the conditioning. But I think moving forward, the next generation doesn't see it like that. The next generation sees it as, I need time off for myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to a retreat.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the shift in conditioning is coming in where probably it will not be seen as a luxury. It will be seen as luxury for self.
Totally.
It will not be seen luxury as a monetary value. It will be
Yeah.
seen luxury as luxury means I can take off from my life.
Time, exactly.
Yeah, I can
Right.
take off from my life and I can take off from everything.
True.
Because I want to switch off for myself.
True.
So I think it's the conditioning. It's
True.
a societal conditioning that we've always had.
Very true, very true. And it's for the better. Like
Of
you
course,
said.
it's for the better. I mean, every generation, as scary as it looks and as scary as it seems, is progressing in some way that
Yeah.
we may not realize. We may not see it short term.
Right.
Our parents told us, how hardworking we were. I used to walk to school. I had a bicycle. You guys go in cars. You're so ungrateful, right? So every generation today, today going to school is something that we don't even talk about to our kids. It's
Right.
just a given. They're going to school.
Right.
But you know how parents spoke about, I went to university, because everybody didn't go to university.
yes,
Very
exactly.
few went.
Exactly.
So it's like with every generation, things change. The language
Right.
changes, the term. So maybe for them, a wellness center was a huge luxury. For our generation, it's something we do. We
Right.
make sure we try it out.
Right.
Next generation will be like, yeah, I went. I go 3 times a year.
Exactly, and which is why more and more will open up.
That's what
which
I'm
is
saying.
good.
So I think the
Exactly.
language changes
You're
with
very
every
right.
generation.
You're very
And
right.
Great it is, because the more people become mindful, the more people become aware of detox in every form. It's great. That's what we need.
And absolutely, and this newer generation has more to deal with, Ashna. You know, these guys are not just thinking of work; they're thinking of social media. They're thinking of, hey, listen, is my boss looking at my social media? Hey, I have this will leave. Do I look at cool? Can I go here? They have a lot more, honestly, on their plate than we had, or the generation before us had. You know, they don't have simple life goals like just get married or get a job. It's about like, can I get a job which brings out the best in me? Where will I be in 5 years? You know, so in that sense, they really do have a lot on their plate. So I think, if anything, they need the wellness more.
Yeah, because I think, unfortunately, their focus is on all the frivolous stuff. We had very little to focus on, and we had only the important things to focus on. Who do you marry? Where do you study? Did you get a good job? Did you go to a good university? Did you get a good grade?
Right.
And did you get married at a most appropriate time in
Right.
terms of fertility, not just an age?
Right.
At that, because it was meant like that you're the most fertile in those years, get married in those and have children,
It's
have
a
a
story
family.
of all our lives.
Yeah. But now, like, the focus is on frivolous stuff, like you
But
said.
don't you think that's also good in a way? Because the thing is, what if, like in our generation, if you didn't have these tick marks, you were gone, you were written off. At least the generation today has a choice. Okay, I may not be married, but I can do this, 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 this. So they have more to define themselves.
I think the milestones are different.
Yeah.
And I think the milestone validation is different. But I think that's, again, generation to generation adaptation. It happens over the years.
Right.
It's evolving. Like,
Right.
the world is evolving.
Right.
So now, like, a marriage is not a milestone. It's not a milestone achievement.
Right.
But still, education is a milestone
Right.
achievement. Even now, even though it's a choice.
Yeah.
It wasn't a choice in our time.
Right.
Even now, it's a choice. I dropped out of college. It's fine.
Right.
I know this very, I've heard some of my friends, teenagers, this person, he's a billionaire. Have you heard of this name? He has this tech company. He was a dropout. And the mother's like, yeah, great, good for him, but you're still going to school.
Yeah.
So
That's an Indian thing.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, education is still an education.
Yes,
It is still
yes.
a life milestone that is
yes.
celebrated. So
Yes.
I think some milestones will always be celebrated, and some
Right.
might not be. Like,
Right.
marriage is not really a
No,
celebration
and
anymore.
it's so funny that you would say this, because education is so important, and it's the reason India is turning heads all over the world. And I remember meeting this, very esteemed person, somebody very close to the royal family in UK. And, he said, my wife and I, we love India because every turn in India, you see a board for classes.
Yeah.
And he said, a country which has this many classes cannot go wrong. And I loved when he said it, and I was like, oh my God, that's so us. We will go on one less vacation, but we will make sure our child has money to go to school.
Yeah.
And he said, the future is only bright for a country which invests this much money and time and effort into education.
Also, education is kind of, we're going off topic here, but I think education is also kind of undermined, right? People just think that, it doesn't need to go to university, I don't need to go to school, I'm intelligent enough. But
Yeah.
without knowledge, you're nobody.
Yeah.
And knowledge is what gets us to move to the next step. Like I said
Absolutely.
before, evolving. If you have to open up your horizon, you have to educate yourself.
Yeah, totally.
And the more you educate yourself, be it anything. Today, I
Absolutely.
might get into study of fruits and food, what it does to the body. Maybe it has nothing to do with me professionally.
Yeah.
But the more I educate myself, my horizon opens up.
Right.
And I'll just be living a better life.
Right.
So people limit themselves in terms of defining education as just
As a
education leading
yeah.
to a job.
Yeah.
But education is leading to how you live your life.
Absolutely.
And I think that's how...
The learning, yeah.
Yeah, I think
and
that's...
those college dropouts they continued educating themselves. That part was missed.
That
the college
part is missed.
dropouts who became billionaires continued educating themselves. They
But
may
that-
not have gone to university, but they continued educating themselves.
That part is left out of every article. It needs to be there, that how that person didn't stop pursuing,
Yeah,
how that
exactly.
person remained consistent, how
Yeah.
that person was still hard working towards a goal. So, for instance, somebody has built a $1 billion company. He was a school dropout. Look where it got him. But he was not
Yeah.
sleeping all of Saturday and Sunday like you're thinking that he did. He was still working, he was still resilient that I need to build a
Yes,
company, and his vision was very clear.
Absolutely.
So he may not have that formal education,
Yes.
but as long as he had vision, and maybe he had very
Absolutely.
educated parents to give him that vision, maybe he had educated friends to give him. You don't know where the vision came
No,
from.
you're right.
But
he
vision
couldn't have
come-
done it without education, for sure.
and he could have done it without the vision.
Yeah.
So sleeping all week and thinking he became a billionaire is not going to happen.
It's selective reading or selective hearing. They hear
It's
what they
selective
want.
hearing. It is selective hearing. That person dropped out is a billionaire. What about the blank in the middle? What did that person do? Let's focus on that. And I had these conversations with my son also. A lot of times these articles come out. If your father is a businessman and you want to be a guitarist, don't stop the child. And I tell my son, don't forget, the life that you have is because of that business. Guitar will not give you that life. So you choose. I'm okay.
Oh my
I'm
God.
all for passion.
Yeah.
Go for your passion. Then don't say that this is where I want to live.
Yeah.
This is the car I
I
want
want
to drive.
this and I want this.
5 holidays a year because you're giving them, because your father and I work hard. So it depends what you want.
Right,
Choose.
right.
Either it's a passion, then you
Right.
wear your 2 pajamas and 2 hats, you play a guitar, no problem.
Yeah.
But then you pick that life.
Blatant
So-
honesty.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
You
No,
pick
you're
a
right.
life, you pick a passion, you pick a life, but it's like x plus y equal to z, x plus x will equal to this. Then it will equal to that.
Yeah.
Don't have visions of
True.
living in New York, but then you don't want the education and you don't want to go to
Yeah.
college and you want to be a dropout
And,
you won't be living
and
in
you're
New York.
hoping for a magical unlimited credit card,
Yeah,
which never runs out. So no, but it's so funny you're saying this, Ashna, but this is the exact reason I wrote the book. It is lessons for young adults, because they don't have what I don't know, a lot of people don't realize is that the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for the results of your actions, is what your prefrontal cortex tells you. It tells you if you do this, then this will happen. That is still developing in our young adults, and it only gets developed by the age of 25.
Correct.
And we expect our children to understand the pros and cons of every decision they're making, but their prefrontal cortex is not even developed. So while you are telling him this amazing thing that, look, please know that your guitar means this much struggle and probably, hopefully, you hit it big. A business has a certain amount of stability, but obviously it doesn't have the glamour. So, you have to pick and choose.
Correct.
The thing is that they're listening to you, but they're not really getting it.
No, I get the fact that
And it's not their fault.
No, I get the fact that he may not understand it. He may not be able to process it fully.
Yeah.
But I feel like
It should be
it's
told.
one of those things that if I keep saying ka kha ga, if I keep telling you and I keep telling you few words in Hindi, you may be German, but in 3 years you will know what those
100%.
words mean. So that's exactly my thought process when it comes to
Of
these
course.
things.
No, you're
so
right.
Even though he might not have reasoning, he might not have intelligence to get the depth of these words, what I'm saying. But my point is, if you keep telling them and reasoning with them, the penny will drop.
You are absolutely right, because that's the only way to get to them.
Yeah.
What you just mentioned, repetition, familiarity, and also recurrence. When you keep doing this over and over again, this is when they realize. And when they come to that moment, they'll be like, my mom told me about this.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the way to deal with this.
And not to forget,
And to talk about it.
We are Indian mothers. We'll go into the cortex and we'll write it. Like, we are Indian mothers. Let's not forget that. We're not going to leave it to chance. We'll get a chance. We'll go inside the cortex. Wait, hold on. Can you wait? I need to write it inside your cortex. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, you will know exactly what I was saying. That's Indian
I
mothers.
I like that. Next episode on how to exactly rewire a child.
So, I know that you're a big believer of yoga, and I know it's come up in conversation. Can you tell us, in today's world of chaos and screens and fast-paced lives, what does truly yoga do for us beyond the mat?
Yoga can automatically slow us down and make us mindful. It's like a guided meditation. I love guided meditations because I don't have to try so hard. Somebody's giving me instructions, I'm following along and I'm meditating. Yoga is fantastic. Not too many people know this, but Ayurveda is like more than 4,000 years old. Yoga is more than 5,000 years old. We have proof of yoga in our Indus Saraswati civilization. It's mentioned in the Rig Veda. The first time the word yoga is mentioned. The thing is, yoga is fantastic because when you're doing it, you cannot rush on an asana. You're going to take it in a certain way. You have to focus on your breath work. And it is doing miracles for you physically and mentally. I mean, you know how they talk about suddenly muscle building in your 30s and 40s. yoga actually changes the anatomy of your blood cells. I mean, it actually changes your skin structure. And it is so scientifically magical. And I mean, I'm always telling my friends this, that while you're doing your strength training, which I don't do enough of, I need to do more. You have to bring in yoga every single moment that you can, because yoga is an automatic mindful exercise. I do Surya Namaskars, I'll do my whatever, 50, 60 Surya Namaskars. And I will try to go faster, but I can't go as fast, And the thing is, even if you go fast on an asana, you will slow down. So yoga is fantastic when it comes to measuring your breath, slowing down, really getting the expanse of your body, figuring out what are the weak sections of your body. It's like a self-analysis. I sometimes I figure out, oh, I have that 40-year-old arm. And I'll be like, oh my God, I'll be doing it and I'll be like, and I won't make out in my everyday life. I've been going a week with all my daily functions, and suddenly you'll do a yoga stretch and you're like, oh, this is what feels. So it's a magical science that we have, and the more people use it, like you said, it's becoming more and more available. So gift yourself that, and that is the magic of yoga, and that is why we are all such firm believers of yoga.
So, do you see food as medicine, which I know most wellness centers do? The focus is food in a large way, what people are fed, at what hours they are fed. I know it's a big part of how it's planned at wellness centers.
Right.
And I believe at Atmantan it's the same story. So, do you feel that people respond to this idea in terms of this is how food should be looked at and these are the times we should eat, what kind of food we should eat? Or people see it as a holiday change, like, oh, I've come in and now for a week I'm going to be so sattvic and I'm going to eat this, holistic food and then go back to my normal life of, I don't know, fries and Coke.
Right. So, food, of course, is medicine. Food has this amazing ability to heal us. And that all comes from the fact that gut health is, there's now people are talking about it. Gut is the second brain of the body. That there's a gut brain, axis, there's a gut lung axis, there's a gut bone axis, there's a gut skin axis. The gut is responsible for your health in such a big way. I must share an interesting fact that, as humans, we are 30 trillion human cells,
Yeah.
but we are 38 trillion bacteria. So we are more bacteria than we are human. Now, where does this bacteria live? Most of it lives in your gut. So the gut is extremely important. And whenever the gut is important, the food becomes important, because your food is deciding the health of that gut. So yes, food is incredibly important. Food is healing. And again, I'm not going to tell people that, they have to be scared to put a single morsel in their mouth, but they should know. They should know that's the power of food. At Atmantan, what happens is we give people healing foods, but it is a single thing that people are crazy about at Atmantan. They can't believe that healthy food can taste this good, can look so good, and heal them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the thing is, we specialize in that, and we know that eating is almost ceremonial for a lot of people. It's cathartic. You can't take away that food. So
That's culturally. Food is a reward.
True, exactly. So at Atmantan, food is treated very, very differently. We make it exceptionally good looking. It's very, very nutrient dense and healthy. And we also make sure that, it's not, we don't really give you less. We give you exactly the amount you need. Which is, for example, like when people come in, on day one and day two, they find it like, oh, it's a little less. And day three, they're not even able to eat what they're given. So they're actually cutting back and they're like, oh no, I don't want my 4 courses. Can you reduce a course? So that is the brilliance of accustoming your gut. You can go back to what you need and not what you want. And which is why, and food is big, like the whole world. In fact, tomorrow when you talk about wellness and transitioning, no wellness can be done without food and nature.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 big things that we're going to need, and we're going to need to hold on as we go into the next couple of centuries.
So tell me, what do you think about food trends? So is it avocado or khichdi, if you will, if that's the example? What do you think about food trends? One is traditional, ancient, wisdom comes with it, and one is right now superfood.
Right. I think both have their place, yeah. Because again, this, it's easy, like I said, it's easy to pick up on an avocado trend because it looks good. It's something like it's making so much noise that people are looking at it, and you look cool having it. And it's like a single statement, I'm having an avocado and taste. Hey, forget the fact that I didn't sleep well and I have no wellness in my life. If I'm having avocado on toast, I understand what good fats are doing for me. But even what about if khichdi is not given to me when I'm unwell? I like
Yeah.
it's you're not going to be able to eat the toast if you're unwell. You do need a certain overcooked rice. So it both have their places. But I think what would be really smart is if you could carry that with you and say, hey, listen, I have avocado and I have khichdi. And somebody who puts a great spin on khichdi and makes it trendy, which I know we do. But the thing is that there are a lot of consumers out there. I mean, if anybody's watching and they want to think of what they should do with food next, this is a worthy trend. Bring out, like Ashna says, make your khichdi to the avocado coolness, and people will take it.
Don't make it with avocado.
I
Terrible
promise you,
idea.
as a garnish, it won't be bad. But yeah,
Because
I'm
it's
gonna
my
take-
favorite food. I eat it at least 4 times a week, and I don't eat it when I'm sick. That's just my food, and I just feel
It's
like
your comfort food.
It's my food. Like
Okay.
I just feel like it's easy to digest. It's
Absolutely.
it's
You can't go
tasty.
wrong with it.
I make it with different veggies in it.
Right.
So if you add a pumpkin, so sometimes I even add a sunny side egg to it, and I just feel like the protein is there and the carbs are there and everything else is there. So I think
Absolutely.
it depends.
Yeah.
And no avocado. I don't think we should spoil the khichdi with adding.
No, but khichdi is amazing. Like you said, no,
Yeah.
you made it your own. So
Yeah.
see, you took khichdi and you adapted it to your lifestyle. You added so that's why. I mean, that's why it will always be there and it's never going to go away.
Yeah, I think khichdi all the way as well. I don't think avocado is going to live up to the trend after 10 years. I don't know, there's a really funny reel I watched on Instagram the other day where this guy talks about how when he was a kid, and especially in the north, you live in colonies, right? And you would have this one hawker
Yeah.
from morning announcing bhaji le lo, bhaji le lo. So he goes, now I'm 42 and all I can hear is avocado le lo. And he's like, and my mother keeps asking me, do you want guacamole? And he's like, I have to keep correcting, it's not guacamole, it's guacamole. So it's like, I see these trends and it's almost hilarious. But then I don't know if our kids, and I hope our kids understand and
Right.
remember the ancient great foods that our dadis
Right.
have taught us to make and eat, and the importance of them.
No,
It's
they
great
will.
to jump on trends.
Right,
It's
right.
great to live with trends, but I think we should not forget where we come from. And we
Right.
come from yoga, we come from meditation, we
Absolutely.
come from khichdi,
Absolutely.
we come from, and I don't mean khichdi in the
No,
the other
no, of
sense,
course.
but we
The
come
purity
from
of-
the purity
yeah.
of it, and this our culture comes from it.
Yeah.
So even though Indians by and large get influenced when the Westerners do it, like yoga became bigger when the Westerners started doing
Absolutely.
it.
They make our things look better.
Yeah, and I don't know why we don't believe in our own things. So I'm hoping khichdi will blow up at some point
It
in the
will.
US, and then we'll all be on the khichdi
I
trend.
promise you a fantastic khichdi at Atmantan. We do a damn good job. But it's interesting you said that, because now with avocado, I remember when avocado became all the rage, it was also where you're sourcing it from, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're getting the New Zealand avocado, you don't want it. You want the locally grown one. And avocado to its national region in the US was their khichdi.
Yeah.
They grew up having it.
Yeah.
We just decided that it was a fabulous veg, good fat thing. And again, too much of anything is not great.
No.
But you're absolutely right. While we take the new things, we should keep the brilliance of what we
really
have.
should. And we should make sure the next generation remembers
Yes,
and
yes.
understands where you come from, what local food is to you, and why your body needs it.
Absolutely.
Seasonal and local is very important to
Very.
understand.
It's especially essential when you talk about nutrients and you talk about gut health. And I think there's a movement called locovarian, which means locally produced foods.
Yeah.
But they have to, actually, the youngsters have to learn to revel in the beauty and the culture of India. We have so much to offer. People all over the world come and they associate India with food. And, we obviously look towards the West. But I think when we start talking about it, like you said, education, awareness, the more we talk about it, people will start, even our youngsters, they won't feel, they'll be like, hey, listen, you haven't tried this? This is great. And they
Yeah.
will start sharing that knowledge. And it starts with, in this case, 2 people. Let it start and
Starts
it'll take.
at home. It
Yes,
always starts
yes.
at home. So you have a beautiful book that you've written, Words That Bring You Home. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Ashna, I wrote that book with my son. I wrote it for him. It was, when you think that, okay, with the pandemic that we all went through, there was this thing that, what if I'm not there tomorrow? And, that lovely repetition that you were telling me, that you do with your child all the time. I wanted it placed in a book. And I definitely wrote it for him, but I wanted it to be something that everybody else can take back. What's special in this book for me is it has space. It has a lot of space after every lesson. for parents to write down their own thoughts and their own lessons. So I always wish that this book becomes a book which becomes their words that bring their kids and their families home. So this is about, I mean, there are a lot of, mental health lessons. There are a lot of cute exercises at the end for the children to do. I'm talking about young adults and short lessons. But it's to spark of conversations, with parents that, oh yeah, something like that happened with me. And did I ever tell you about it? So I hope it becomes something that, families do together and loved ones, take back to each other and add their own notes. So it becomes like a Archie's greeting or what we grew up on, and it becomes their words that they keep.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So I'll end the episode with a round called Burst the Bubble, where I ask you a few fun questions and you give me an answer, whatever comes to your mind. The first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
If stress had a scent, what would it be?
It would be hydrogen sulfide, rotten eggs, some good energy gone bad.
Great. If your inner critic showed up at Atmantan, what treatment would you prescribe it?
I have this fantastic treatment there called the Udvartanam. It's extremely indulgent. It is an oil, it's a scrub. It feels like a whole layer is off your skin. So yeah, the Udvartanam is what I would prescribe.
If burnout were a character in a wellness drama, what role would it play?
Burnout. Burnout would be like that necessary villain. We need them there. And then burnout should become a devil's advocate.
Yeah.
So that, we all do the good deed and the protagonist shines.
Correct. Complete this sentence. True luxury is...
Wellness of the self.
What's one belief about wellness you hope the next generation never inherits?
That wellness is a luxury. Wellness is not a luxury. Wellness is a necessity.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sharmilee. It was an absolute honor having you today.
Thank
I
you.
loved our conversation. It was so fun, frivolous and honest. And I hope people pick up on the right bits from it.
Thank you so much, Ashna. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much. Namaste, I'm Sharmilee Kapur. I had such a great chat with Ashna on the Therapy Diaries about creating Atmantan, modern healing, and even motherhood. And true wellness, which is luxury, starts from within, right? Catch the episode on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Thank you so much.